You're listening to The Three Pillars of Success, a podcast that inspires people of all walks of life to gain perspective on what it means to succeed. My name is Geraldine Convento, and I'm best known for entrepreneurship, my skills in web presence, and SEO. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Hey y'all, how you doing? My name is Geraldine Convento, and I am your host for the Three Pillars of Success podcast, and I'm so excited to have my guest for today, Daniel Bishop. Welcome.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let's tell the audience who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Well, I'm Daniel Bishop. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I consider myself a digital entrepreneur. Some friends would call that digital pioneering or digital nomad because I'm location independent. And I make money doing digital marketing. So,
Awesome.
So there's a couple of things.
Sounds like a good life.
It's taken a couple of years, but it's all what you focus on, right? So I focused on what life I've wanted to create, and then just created necessity around that, and then just constantly just focus on it.
So we all know that we're here because we would like to know, what does success mean to you?
Success to me is living life on my terms. So I'd rather hustle 24/7 than slave 9 to 5. People can see your success now, but they don't see the failures that happen behind you. I saw this really cool picture. There's this guy, he's juggling plates, right? And he's on a stage, there's stairs behind him, and you see him juggling the plates, and the audience is in front, and they're like, oh my gosh, they're wowed, but they don't see all the broken plates behind him, because all they see is the success. And so, yeah, living life on my terms has been huge, because even when I was in high school, and they were saying, okay, go to college, get a job, work for somebody else. To me, I hated the idea of I'm gonna have to go pick something and do that for the rest of my life. Now, obviously that's different, but I know a lot of people that they feel like that's just their path to go. It's not just about money, right? So yeah, we can have money, but what if you don't have time and freedom? So then I think of those two. It's no, I want to be wealthy in time as well. I want to be wealthy in relationships. I want to be wealthy in love and connection and growth.
And what are your 3 pillars of success?
So my 3 pillars are going to be mental, physical, and spiritual. So meditation has been huge. So I would consider that mental and spiritual, right? I've had several growth spurts. So I started my physical fitness journey about 5-6 years ago. So that was my first step into personal development, right? The next one was personal development, actually just devouring a lot of books, going to seminars, and then integrating the habits and rituals that I wanted in my life to create the life that I wanted. And then third one was meditation. So they've actually done studies where people, if they stand like this for 2 minutes with their hands, Superman pose, right? They'll raise their testosterone by 30% and they'll drop their cortisol, which is their stress hormone, by 30%. If you just know that one distinction, okay, if I'm in a certain body posture or if I do something for a couple of minutes, the chemicals in my brain actually change. You feel different. Automatically feel different. Hello, right? I study a lot of neuroscience and psychology, so I love it. It's so fascinating to me. And so what happened with me whenever I got into personal fitness is that I ended up I just kept on going. It took me a couple of months to get into the gym. It took me about 2 months, but I just was disciplined. Okay, I'm going to go kill myself for 20 minutes and that's it, And then that 20 minutes turned into 30 minutes and 45 and an hour, and went 5 times a week and everything. And now it's been about 5-6 years later, and I have rarely missed a full week in that whole period. And so what happens, you go to the gym, you work out, you really push yourself. And what happens is it changes the chemicals in your brain. Whenever you go to the gym or do any type of physical activity, what you're doing is you're actually washing out those chemicals out of your brain. And it's so huge. I mean, it took me a couple of years to realize wow, that's why I started feeling so good, because I'm literally washing all those stress hormones away and replacing it with endorphins and dopamine and serotonin, right? So Then the next step was personal development and reading, right? I just had this insatiable desire to grow and to be better. And I just started devouring books, and that's a huge piece of advice that I give people. I'm like, you know what? If you don't do anything else, read, seriously, because so much of what we do is unconscious. We have 90% of what we do, we have 70,000 thoughts in a day. 90% of that is unconscious. And if we can actually grasp that, not just intellectually, but like really internalize that, like, okay, science has shown that 90% of what I do is unconscious. So then maybe that explains why I'm attracting the same crap into my life. And people think like, oh, you change the outdoors. Like, no. You change yourself. And then what happens is you end up reacting differently to the environment. And you know, when you change yourself, like everything around you changes. It's an amazing phenomenon. And I want people to experience that. But even if it's just one book a week or something like that, I mean, listen to an audiobook. Like whenever I was absorbing a lot of books in my first personal development journey, I've read about 40 books in 4 months because I was so driven. And then I just had this amazing growth spurt because I was actually reprogramming those unconscious learned behaviors. And then everything around me started to change. And then, you know, a little bit of reality set in too, because I was like, okay, you know, I'm not going to make $1 million this year, but guess what? Like I could be financially free and then I could be totally independent, right? So I'm still making huge progress. I'm not working for anybody else. And then the third one is meditation. So meditation has been a game changer. And people might think that it's like this spiritual thing. And it is, but at the same time, it's mental discipline. So yeah, I have a connection with God. Yes, I pray and all that stuff, right? But meditation doesn't have to be spiritual. For those people out there that aren't spiritual, right? It's mental discipline. Don't even think it as a spiritual discipline. It's mental discipline. Because when I go back to our bodies having this reaction and having this fight or flight, okay, what happens with meditation is you end up training your nervous system. And so when you train your nervous system, that means when someone cuts you off in traffic or something bad happens, you're actually much better equipped to handle it. And meditation has been a huge, huge game changer for me. I mean, it's been about 3 years for me of meditating consistently every day. Now it's about an hour every morning, and then I listen to hypnosis at night. Hypnosis really just comes down to, you know, changing unconscious behaviors. That's why I listen to it. For people that don't know about hypnosis or neuro-linguistic programming, it's not someone putting a clock in front of my eyes and telling me to go to sleep. It's much deeper than that. There's a lot that we can change, and then things that we're not even aware of. That's the thing too. So many things we're not aware of, but even if it's 15, 20 minutes, I mean, I can get to a point now in my meditation every day that I completely clear my mind. And for the listeners, when was the last time you could remember your mind being completely clear? I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that as it's like I've come a long way. So, and everybody can have that. And it comes a point to where in your mind, the dust just settles. And then you get to a place of peace. And there's just no thoughts, nothing. And then you just have this release. And it's very, very relaxing to the body and rejuvenating.
There's nothing like it.
I know, it's amazing.
There's nothing else like it. It feels so good. For those of you who've never experienced that, once you get to that place in meditation where you could just feel absolute bliss and be completely empty, you'll become addicted. It feels so good. So what's a roadblock that you had to overcome in your journey to success?
Well, at first it was, when I was younger, it was going down the wrong path. Yeah, like whenever I was in my early 20s, like I sold drugs and I supported myself selling weed and psychedelics and stuff like that. And I wasn't in a good place, you know. I thought I could make money doing that. I wanted to be, at that time, independent, which I was, right? But it wasn't healthy. And really, it's just a testament to where my mindset was. You know, I ended up getting locked up for that, for selling drugs. And that's been one of the largest roadblocks I've ever had. And I did 1.5 years for selling drugs. I did 1.5 years in the state penitentiary. And it's a part of my story. It's something that now I can reach others. But that was the hardest thing that I ever went through. You know, it's like my girlfriend and I broke up. I actually had a good job, was making good money. And then I don't know why, I still sold drugs. I don't get it. I was like addicted to it or something. But I went through a period of depression for about 6 months after my girlfriend and I broke up. We were living together for a couple of years. And the depression was so severe that I ended up attracting exactly that into my life. And then when I got locked up, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is terrible, right? So then it's like the reality of what I actually attracted into my life. And it was so awful that it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. So if anyone can imagine being separated from everybody for 1.5 years, it took me months to get past it to where I was like, okay, I was telling my friend, it took me almost 1 year before it didn't hurt to be in there. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I know that so many people struggle out there, and I've been there. Like I've struggled. I've lost everything several times. I mean, I'm talking about like everything I own, all my money, everything. And those are the largest learning experiences that I've ever had. And so it gave me this insane desire to grow and to turn that life and leave it behind me. That's been a huge roadblock. But see, if we wallow in that, if we just stay with like, oh, poor little old me, this freaking happened to me. It's like, no, like you brought it on yourself. As hard as that sounds, people can say like, oh no, you don't understand. You don't understand what happened in my life. It's like, no, like I've lived it. Like I've been at the lowest of the lows. Okay. I attracted all that crap into my life, all of it. And so for me not to take responsibility of that and then just wallow in that and like, oh, this is just what's happening to me. No, life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. And if we can really pay attention to the hard things that happen in our life, a lot of times what happens is like those are our biggest growth spurts. When we have the hardest challenges, it's when we grow the most. And so, you know, I've come a long way, but I've also busted my ass because of it. And I've incorporated all kinds of habits and rituals into my life that point me towards success and where I want to go. And I know where I've been, and I like to talk about it because it's a reminder of where I've come from. And I've come so far, so far, you know, and I just want to, whoever's listening to this, just to know that like you have unlimited potential within you. I understand like how life can be hard. It is, you know what, it's still not easy for me. And I do a lot of personal development, trust me, every day. And it's still not easy. So imagine if you're not equipping yourself with the tools necessary, it is going to be harder. So I just want to offer that as an encouragement that I've been there, I've done that, and there's so much better life waiting for you. There just is.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that.
You're welcome.
Being so vulnerable. I think it's really important for all of us. You know, once we're ready, once we have the capacity to be able to share our stories and the confidence to be able to share our stories without feeling judged. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely important.
No, thank you.
So, awesome. Well, any closing thoughts or advice that you would like to give to folks who are listening to this podcast and looking to achieve success in their own lives?
So, words of advice. Okay. Do something that scares you. Work on your mindset. Work on your body. And then your spirit too. Because if you have success, because there's a science of achievement, right? Like you could achieve so much, but there's the art of fulfillment. So if you achieve but aren't fulfilled, ultimately that's failure. If you're beginning, if you haven't really gotten to personal development or you're just getting into personal development, then the biggest thing I could say is work on your mindset. Work on your mindset. Do some type of physical activity or get out in nature, even if it's only a couple times a week. And work on your spirit and grow. And if you're just going to do one thing, but definitely read, because it'll change your life. You know, there's a reason why they have all these coaches and motivators and high performance people that they tell you and they yell and they scream and they say, read, focus, you know, create necessity and become better because you can, it's because they understand how far they've come. And I know that everybody has unlimited potential. And if you just focus enough on yourself, your mindset, and your body and spirit, you'll grow into a brand new life. You really will.
Awesome. All right. Well, you heard it here on the 3 Pillars of Success podcast with Daniel Bishop. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. As you all know, we're here every single Wednesday, so be sure to tune in, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.